Welcome to the Barter Edge podcast, your insider guide to smarter business, bigger networks, and better ways to trade. We're here to share real stories, expert tips from different industries, and fresh ideas to help you grow your business using the power of Barter Card. I'm Jen Trevorrow, your host, and today I'm here with a very special guest, Nick Harrison from The Legal House, the founder of The Legal House, and he's here to talk to us about all things business and wills and succession planning. So, Nick, would you like to introduce yourself to the Barter Card community today?
Sure. Hi, Jen. Thank you for inviting me. So as you've said, my name is Nick Harrison. I'm a solicitor. I practice in areas of family law and wills and estates, and I think that's primarily what we're here today to do, talk about wills, estates, succession planning, making sure assets go where they should go, that type of thing.
And it's something that we probably don't have that open conversation enough about these topics, but they're really, really important topics for everyone, not just business owners, but everyone to consider. So can you share with us how Barter Card has impacted your business?
Sure. So I met one of the Barter Card people who offered Barter Card services to me at the start of my business. Wasn't quite ready for it at that stage. Once the business got a little bit more successful with a bit of cash flow and capital in the bank and that type of thing, I sat down, had a conversation, try and figure out how it worked. And really what it does is Barter Card sources me clients. So it gives me revenue, but it also, with all of the trade partners that Barter Card has on their list, helps me offset expenses as well. So as I take Barter Card dollars from clients for doing work on their behalf, I can then spend those Barter Card dollars on expenses that I would already spend in my business, but with Barter Card money instead of cash money in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. And guaranteeing new customers is something that we do. And that's what we're all about, a business-to-business network and marketplace, really, for all industries across any sector, really. What are some of the most innovative or strategic ways that you've been able to utilise Barter Card?
Sure. So recently, this sort of fits into the innovative category. I purchased an office. So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Love
yes.
it.
Yeah, we're growing. And I started out in a serviced office in a small space, about 13 square metres, and needed more staff, needed more room. So I bought a property at Varsity Lakes, and I was able to use the Barter Card money that I'd accumulated over the course of the last sort of year or two to help me offset the costs of the fit out, for trades, for things like IT installations, telephone installations, labourers, flooring, that type of thing. So
yeah, and that would have really helped with your cash flow, because starting up a new, a store, like a shop front office, that's something that, it can be very, very costly for businesses, can't it?
Oh, it always is. Always more money going out than coming in. And when I had, I sort of tried to save a stockpile in Barter Card, hoping that it would work out this way, thinking that it would, and it did. So yeah, fit out costs, more money in the business, more money to be able to pay normal bills like, the government needs you to pay. So worked out well for me.
Great news story there, Nick. From your experience in the legal industry, what trends or opportunities should people be focusing on right now?
Well, a big thing in the legal industry right now is AI, artificial intelligence. How does that impact on our industry? And I've even read articles that say lawyers and some other jobs, like perhaps service industries, will completely disappear. I can't see that happening, but you never know.
I definitely can't, not with what you do as well, Nick.
Yeah, it's a customised sort of environment. You sit down, you ask a lot of questions, the client hopefully give you the answers, and then you put together a package that suits them specifically. But yeah, AI, and one thing I suppose that I've been turning my mind to more recently is, especially given growth and taking on new staff, team culture, trying to create a productive, friendly, supportive environment for people at work. So
culture is king in every business, and I think it is something that can be overlooked. We are going to have an episode all around culture as well, because it is so important. And I love working for Barter Card and the culture that we've got there, and it makes a huge difference to your motivation and your productivity, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, if you don't love it, you can't do it, really.
Yeah. So let's get into giving some value to some of our members. Why is it important for a business owner to have a will and an enduring power of attorney?
So I suppose it's important to make a distinction between what the two documents do. Enduring power of attorney transfers authority to somebody over certain issues. It could be health, it could be finances, it could be other things, whilst that person is still alive. The most common form that I see is an enduring power of attorney that transfers authority to somebody when the person called the principal has lost capacity. So there might be an accident, there might be something else where either it's early onset dementia, something like that. Provided you've got an enduring power of attorney in place before that happens, then somebody like you, if you're appointed as an attorney, can act on the principal's behalf. But of course, that's a document and valid document whilst you're alive, but what happens after you've died? Well, that's the difference between the power of attorney and a will. The will is a document which says what will happen with your assets after you've died. And the enduring power of attorney is a document which describes what's going to happen with somebody you put in your authority to take your place whilst you're still alive, but you might not have the ability to make decisions. So that's the big distinction between the two documents. It's important to have both because it's important to, for the first instance, for an enduring power of attorney to appoint somebody who you trust. I mean, what happens if you don't have somebody? Then somebody is going to have to either make an application to the court to be appointed a guardian under QCAT. How do you know that that person will do the right thing by you? You hope they do. You hope that the right person stands up and puts their hand up and says, I'm willing to take this responsibility. But why go to that bother? Why have all that trouble if you can just easily fill out a simple document and make sure that you appoint the right person at the right time to do the right thing? Same concept with the will. If you leave us, if you die without having a will, then what happens to all your worldly assets? I mean, anyone in business who's got the motivation, the enthusiasm to start their own business, to be an entrepreneur who hasn't already thought about what's going to happen in the event that I die to these assets, then it's really no different to being in business. It's that entrepreneur mindset. How do I plan? I want to plan for the future. How do I get to where I want to get to? And then the future, well, there's only two certainties in life. People talk about that, don't they? You know, taxes and death. And so it's not something we can avoid just yet. Maybe in a few hundred years' time, I don't know. But it's guaranteed for all of us. We're all going to die at some point. And I think some people just don't want to have that conversation. Maybe they think it's a bit morbid.
I think that's exactly why people don't want to have that conversation. But it is a reality that we need to really consider protecting our assets, but also protecting our family and the legacy that we're leaving behind with our businesses.
Yep, and that's the intent of going to a lawyer and getting these documents drafted up. How do I transfer these assets to who I want them to go to? It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Now, you can get wills from the post office, and I'm very fortunate that I've worked with you before, and you're incredibly attention to detail, and you have opened my eyes and made me think about things in so many different perspectives, things that I would never have been able to think of on my own because this is your expertise. Does a will from the post office actually hold as much power as what it would be going to the legal house to one of your lawyers?
They can. So you can actually have a will kit that you can buy from a post office, and it can be an entirely legally binding document. But nobody asks you any questions. You pick up the paper, you write down what you think you should write down on the paper, and that's the end of it. There's not anybody there to say, oh, what do you want to do with this? And, well, but you can't do that with this because of whatever the situation might be. So the difference between a will kit that you do on your own and a will that you will get done with a professional like me, for example, someone who's experienced in the area, is that I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, and they're all going to be specific to your situation, and nobody will do that if you go to a post office and just fill it out on your own. And when I ask you the questions, the answers that I give you are going to be drafted into a properly legally binding document. There's a common problem with some wills where some clauses that you want to be binding can fail for what's called uncertainty. So you haven't properly described what you want to happen with a specific asset, and so therefore legally it's not binding. When you fill out the will on your own, If you're not a lawyer, you don't know what to write. You might just say, and for somebody who's only got 3 possessions in their entire world, maybe the will kit will work for them. But for somebody who's worked really hard to create a bigger legacy, then it's worth spending a little bit of money to make sure that you get a properly drafted will.
It's an investment for your future generations, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's not even just about yourself. It's your future generations that will benefit from taking action today. And we can't predict what's going to happen this afternoon or tomorrow. So it really is a valuable thing for everyone to have. So
and I think the important thing there is the will kit is a one-size-fits-all. Whether your size fits it or not, bad luck, that's what the will kit does to you with the post office, whereas you can customise the size to fit every circumstance when you go to see a legally trained professional.
Absolutely. So why is a succession plan important?
So I think I mentioned before, when you're in business, you plan, this is my goal. How do I get to that goal? These are the steps that I take towards that path. Succession planning is very similar. The idea is you sit down and think who would be the best person to manage your business if you're not there. You nominate that person, you train them whilst you're alive. You get them to the point where there's a very smooth transition between one person and the next. So succession planning is really all about smooth transition, minimising disruption, and making sure the best person's appointed to do the job after you've gone.
Well, thank you so much for sharing so much knowledge with us. I can personally vouch that Nick is a lawyer that you want on your side in all things wills, estates, family law. You always go above and beyond for all of your clients. But Nick, one last question for you today. If a business owner was thinking about joining BarterCard, what would you say to them?
Find your nearest account executive, relationship manager, whatever they're called. Sit down, have a conversation. It's not going to cost you any money. It might cost you half an hour of time. The one thing that I found with BarterCard is they have this massive network of referral partners. I'll ring up my account executive and I'll say, do you have somebody who can do this? Bang, there it is, you do. In response, I've just recently got new business cards, got stationery for the office, got all these sorts of things from sending one email, getting a response. And what I found so far is that most of the BarterCard suppliers and tradespeople that I've worked with are really responsive, and they take ownership, and you send them an email that comes from BarterCard, they come back to you quickly, and, the job's done.
Yeah, it is that amazing business-to-business network that we absolutely love being a part of. Well, thank you, Nick, from the Legal House. We really appreciate you being here. Just one quick little question. Do you only work here on the Gold Coast, or can you work Australia-wide?
So some of the stuff I do, the family law, it's a Commonwealth jurisdiction. It's all over the place. I've appeared in Melbourne, Adelaide, Darwin, where else? New South Wales, because now we can do a lot of appearances via Teams, Zoom and everything like that. It's much easier. But yeah, so that's a Commonwealth jurisdiction, but estates change from state to state. The rules can be different in New South Wales than they are in Queensland and Victoria. So yeah.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for being here.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today and sharing your stories and expertise. If you want to find out how BarterCard can help your business, or if you want to be a guest on our future podcasts, contact our team at hello@bartercard.com. Make sure you tune in for our next episode of the Barter Edge.